So I see that some people are joining in, and I thought to just take a few minutes. Sometimes some people are a little bit late, but I appreciate that some of you are here on time, and I'm really glad that you are. And in this event, I will be talking about CO2 reporting of your transportation, and how you can do it in, as I call it, in a 4-step way. How you can find it out. This is something that I want to tell you about here. And now the time is 3 o'clock, so I think to respect the time, we could just begin, and then we'll see if more people will join or not. So just a basic introduction. My name is David Leifson. I'm living in Västerås in Sweden. I have been quite active on LinkedIn, My background is from logistics and supply chain and different sector and industries and so on. And I've been working a lot with different companies as a consultant and doing a lot of CO2 reporting and seeing that is something that is getting more and more higher and higher on the table in each companies, and it can be difficult to do it if you don't know how, because there are certain ways to do it, and it can take time. So I'm here to explain a little bit about that. So that's what we will be talking about. The CO2 calculation of your transportation, all modes of your transportation, even if it's road, sea, air, or even rail transportation. So that's something that's possible to do to look at all modes of transportation. It's a little bit warm here, so I get thirsty. And so before we start to look at how you basically calculate or do this reporting or get these fancy reports, of course you need to think about one thing before you even begin, and that is, often we think about we want to get into savings of CO2, but we need to create our baseline. So we need to know where we are now, so in the current moment. So how good or bad is it? And that's something that we have to create now, to create the baseline, and then we can decide from that to reduce by X number of percent per year, or how the company wants to do it. Some company has policy of reducing CO2 by X amount of percent each year, or by the end of 2035 they need to be down with 30%. So that's a big step, and you need to do it now, start now, to know where you are, because time flies. And this is something that we want to look at now. And from my experience, I know that when you are in this, and when you're in a company, and if you're not the transport company, and you don't know how to do this, and you rely a lot on transportation companies, and the transportation companies, they are good in doing this calculation, but they all have different ways of doing it. So if you have 4 or 5 transportation companies, you might end up with 4 or 5 different kind of reports, and you don't know which one of them is the most correct, or the most the ones that you should use, and change the other one. But in this case, what I want to show you here is that you can do the calculation in one way, in one tool, and you get out all your CO2 emission in the same way. So that's the thing. But then you need, of course, to know where to find the data, and that's also another thing, because we have in our the ERP system, we have often the data of to what customer, location, and so on, but we are often missing the weight or the volume, and that's where you need to combine often, either you have your own data from your ERP system or a warehouse management system, but then you need to also get information from your transport company, which contains the weight of the shipment, the volume, and so on. So often it is a matter of finding the data, where to look. for the data. So even if you have some data, you might need to complement it with some additional data. So that's there's a lot of tricks and things to do in this way. But let's see if I do. I'll stop sharing here. I will share. See. So let me see if there is. There is a way of sharing your screen, which I have some problem of doing now. let me just a moment. I need to scroll here. It is not this. Here it should be this one. It's always when you least expect it, you run into some problems when you want to do something. So share the screen now. Now I can share the screen. I will share the whole screen. So let's see here. So what I wanted to show you now is basically we are coming now to the, let's see if this is the right one. Oh, I need to do it again. I need to do this. So now we are in, basically I want to start at the end, because now we're in the dashboard of the CO2 emission way of, like, the CO2 emission dashboard in this tool that I'm using. And what we are seeing basically here is we have a number of transportation. We have in this case, I think 700 different transportation over a certain period. And this gives us out for this transport mode, which is road, which I will show you in a bit, that it is generating 47 tons, 669 kilograms of CO2 emission. And that's basically also, that's not only what the truck is producing, because in the CO2 equivalent, you look at two different things. You look at the well to tank emission, that is prior coming to the truck, so that's about 20% of the total. And then you have the tank to wheel, which is when you drive the truck, so that's about 80% of the total. So you can see, with this calculation, you can see how much your transportation is generating in different kind of output per time period. And this is not such a long time period as it could be, but it shows how the transportation is over time. And you can even have a cumulative way of looking at this. So you can have even a split of the well to tank and tank to wheel emission. So that was the output. So when you do the calculation, you get out your about this close to 48 tons of CO2 emission per this time period, and then you get your baseline. But how do we actually get this? And that is the thing that many are struggling of like, how do we do it? So I want to show you a way that you can do it, and which I have been using in my line of work. So if we go into the next one, which is so what I'm in now is something called supply chain apps, and this is actually in Excel. So in Excel, you are if you are familiar with get add-ins from the stores, you can press here get add-ins, and then it will take you to the app store, and you will search for the supply chain apps just by typing supply chain apps, and then you will get into the supply chain apps, and you can create an account for free and start like, getting the account up and running. And I want to show you just in this demonstration how quite easy it is. There is a video on how to do it. I'm not going to go a deep dive in how you do it actually. And if you want information about how you actually set it up and so on, then I can support you, or my team can support you on that thing. So that's something that is really good. So when we're in the supply chain apps, as you can see, there's a lot of supply chain apps, but what I want to focus on is the CO2 emission. And that is basically this application in here. And the good thing with this application is it's quite simple to use. And as you can see in this step here, you have the different modes of transportation. You have the road, rail, air, and sea. And because you have to calculate each mode on their own, so you cannot combine everything together because there is so much different factors in road transportation, air, and sea, and of course rail is totally different, lower output. But in this case, let's say we're just using road transportation, and what we can do in the beginning is just to generate a template. Then it will come with some demo data. And that's basically, as you can see, it's the shipment ID, the date of the shipment, from what country. So those are the things that you must have. Then you can add in, like, if you have from states or from a zip code and from a city, which I always do. I always put the zip code and city. If I don't have, I often have, sometimes I often have like, only the city, but it's better to put the city at least from where you're sending, and then you can add in to what country you're sending, and for example, if you just say to what city, and if you have the postcode, it would be great. And then you can actually say, is it a refrigerated transport or not? You don't need to fill this in, the green ones. It's more optional. But of course, you need to fill the weight, because when we are calculating CO2, we get out the weight of the transport will generate some CO2 emissions. So in this case, we have some data here, and as you can see, it can be quite number of lines, and the limitation in the license version is about 2,000 lines per each time. So it's a quite a long, many lines that you can calculate, even if you're doing 1 year. But in this case, we have quite a lot of data here, as you can see. And but if you look at, like, we have shipments by road, then we have something called the chain here, which is green now. That is basically meaning that we have connected all the data set together. So if we would forget to connect everything, then it would become red if you would just choose a part of it. What we can do when calculating is we can look at different ways of parameters. So we have the vehicle type. For example, we have just a standard truck, but we can also go into different kind of trucks. What we're using, if it's rigid or some other kinds of truck. So there's a lot of different possibilities here. Even for here, we are looking at USA trucks as well, even if we are looking a lot in Europe here. And another good thing is that you can actually choose what kind of fuel type you are working with. Most of us might just go with a diesel, but if you are in a company that is saying that they want to only work with transport companies that are on some certain fuel type, then you can choose that. And of course, you can choose the kilograms or lbs. Of course, we most often do the kilograms. What you do next when you have everything connected and lined up is you just press the calculate. I have actually done the calculation just to make it simpler because my experience is that sometimes something will happen in the middle of the airtime. Once you have the calculation, you get the data. And in the data, you get the chance to look at, have it separate. Or you can do as I often do, export to a new sheet. So take everything that you have calculated and export it. And then you get a lot of data in that. Some are relevant, or some are maybe not so relevant. You get your latitude, longitude, and so on. But what you get from this, what you want to look at, is on each transportation. For each of the shipments, you get the CO2 emission for that transportation. So this transportation that was weighing 931 kilograms and going for 366 kilometers was generating almost 164 kilograms of CO2. And that's the combined CO2. So we have the split here, tank to wheel and the well to tank. So the from the truck and before the truck. So you have that as well. So you have a lot of data here generated for you, which you can put together. And the good thing is with this, even if you can, of course, put it in the, you can have it in the dashboard, as I showed you earlier. You can also have it like, in a Power BI if you really want. So if you want to compare, if you want to do the transportation for 1 year and then you do the second year, and if you want to compare something, you can easily get that into a Power BI visualization, which is really good. What you have here later on is different kind of visualization. You have you can open, let's close this, it takes a little bit of space here. Let's see, just move it a little bit. So, and this here. And now you can actually go and as I said, you can open a map which is showing the map of this transportation. I can open that. I will just go back here into stop sharing and keep on sharing again in a different way. I think next time I might be doing this a little bit different. It's always when you least expect it, something will happen. Let's see if the map will come up now. Let's see. Yes, it's coming up here. And as you can see, on this map, it is just saying that there is transportation coming from the central point here, and it's going to the different areas. And this you can play with colors and have it in a different ways. But this is something nice to have, nice to look at. But the most important thing, which I think it's even more important to look at, is the actual is the dashboard, which I showed you earlier, which I'm going to show you again now, which where you can actually see a lot of the the data. And let's see if we can go on the top here. So in the dashboard, you have the kind of executive summary, and then you have the number of shipments, number of recipients, and the weight per shipment average, and how much it's refrigerated or not. And then you can actually start to look at analyze it even more, you can see it on a time period, how the transportation is looking over time, and even over weight classes, and even over distance classes. If we are saying that we are sending, in this case, most of our transportation is going 250 kilometers, while or more, 240 to 260. So this is saying to us that where our central gravity is. And this actually you can share with your co-workers and even with internal and external of the company. And then this, I came back to here that I showed you earlier, that the CO2 emission. It will give you the CO2 emission of this calculation. It will give you the result of the over time and the cumulative. So there's a lot of different kind of calculation, but the thing is, it is quite good to have. It's a good tool to use, and simple, I think it's I've been using it for quite some time in my projects and the different kind of assignments. So I think it's a really good one. And what I want to basically do is like, that for you who are in here and showed interest in this, is how to give you what I want to give you is one-on-one like, guiding how you can actually set this up in a short time and start calculating out your CO2 emission, and even looking at some other cool things in the application. So and that's really there is a really lot of things in there. And so what I will do now is let me see, I will, for those of you who are in here, which I appreciate a lot, we have some, I will set in my Calendly meeting app where you can actually book a meeting with me for 30 minutes or even 50 minutes. It doesn't have to be so long, and I could help you set this up and get you going. We had one question: what is a meaning of what is CO2 meaning? That is the carbon dioxide. I think is the call for this. So that's the output from the from the transportation. So that's what the output of vehicles are generating. So yeah, I think I got a quite a good here explanation in the chat. So thank you for that. And also, I mean, if you have any questions or thoughts, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I have, like, you can always contact me on LinkedIn, or you can always contact me on my email, which I will put here in the chat. What we use it for, the CO2. The CO2 is basically a unit. I mean, a unit that we calculate out, like, it's a kind of a KPI. So that is to, like, get some way of standard that we are maybe like, the output, the CO2 output is 47 tons per this time period, and then we want to hopefully reduce it by X number of percent, and then we need to understand, find out a way how can we do that. Can we transport in a different kind of way? Can we have it closer, or what other kind of possibilities there are out there? But if you're really interested in this, to get this understanding of this, then feel free to book a meeting with me, and I can help you in this and answer your question. Yeah, Badr, that's something that you should have heard about, because this topic of CO2 emission is quite very relevant today, because there is on at least here in Europe, the European Union is focusing on lowering the output and they are looking for any kind of way of lowering the output of the CO2 emission. And just in Germany, there is a lot of focus now on putting more cargo on rail. This does not work maybe for everything, but for transport going over 1,000 kilometers or a longer reach, it is really good. I see came some quite good here from Per Bay. Thank you. But the CO2 reduction is very hot topic, and I think that it is something that many companies need to look at now, and I want to see what they can do, because time will come, and when 2035 or 2030 will come, and if you have not done anything, then you might be hit by some fine or something like that, or even worse. So I think it's time to do it now, to look at it now, and see where you are. And even if you are a transportation company, you can also use this kind of tool to do calculation for your clients, which is actually something that I'm doing. I've been doing this for some transportation companies here in Sweden, providing them with the report and data that they can share to their customer. So that's one way of looking at it. But let me see. I will send this again in the chat here. So with that, that is my final word on the CO2 emissions calculation. And I hope that you gotten something useful from this. And I will be doing this again. And if you have some questions, just reach out to me. And if you feel that you want to book a meeting with me, please do so. All the information is in the chat. But if there are no more questions or thoughts, I would like to thank you so much for listening, and have a great day. And hopefully I will be hearing from you soon, or you will be joining my next session. Thank you for this time, and take care. Bye-bye.